So in today's tutorial, we're looking at a question that I had from a client earlier. This client was working every month with calculating bonuses, and those bonuses needed to have a journal entry. Now, for entering the journal entry, they had a template which they could use to upload, and the request was if we could make journal entries in Power Query. Now, of course, Power Query is super flexible, so the answer is yes. And in this video, I will show you how. So imagine that what we're looking at right now are the names of the people and the amount of bonus that they get. The template for uploading what they wanted was as follows. First of all, they needed a name and an amount, but then they also needed a period and a general ledger. So let's see if we can work there. The first step that they did was they went to add columns, and I provided them a solution that added the period for them. So booking period. And now I could add something here that says hashtag date 2021-101, and I could press OK. Now, of course, next month they're gonna want to change to a different period again. So what's easier is we could click for a new parameter, and we call this one date, or let's call it booking period without any spaces. And then we can add a date, which is 01/01/2021. Okay, we got ourselves a date value. And in this case, let's put it on the end of the month. So the first step to our table is adding a booking period. And instead of hard coding it here, let's change this one out to the booking period. Press OK. Okay, part one solved. Then he always knew that basically, let me change this one to date. Yep. He always knew that the bookings for the bonuses would come on a general ledger with a certain number, and that number was fixed, which would make it easy because we could just call it general ledger and give the number of 1620. And then I change the type here to int64 type. Okay. So far, so good. And of course, in accounting, the general ledger has to be imbalanced. So the debit needs to be, the total sum of the debits needs to be the total sum of the credits. So in this case, the bonus is going to be the costs, and we're going to make a reservation. So we will need to be able to sum up the column here. To get the sum of that is very easy in Power Query. You could go to transform, statistics, and then you press sum. And basically it gives you the syntax that you need to write your sum. Okay. Now, the next step that we need to do is make sure that we add a separate line underneath what we have right here. And it needs to include the description that we need. It needs to have the sum, the right time period, and perhaps the general ledger that you need. Okay, so how can we do that? Now, the first step to do in that is we're going to just add a step here. And it's going to come in between. Okay. And adding lines is not very straightforward in Power Query, but what you can do is you can I'm just going to copy this here so I can later paste it if needed. But to add a record, you can open a curly bracket and then open a square bracket. Within that square bracket, you can define all of the column names that you need. So right now we have name, amount, booking period, and general ledger. So I could start by filling in some dummies. So I'm going to write like name is 1. To get to the next column, you write comma, amount is 2, comma. Since booking period has spaces, I'm going to write hashtag quotations booking period, comma, and then the same thing for general ledger equals 1. And I forgot one value here. Equals 1. Let's see what it does. Okay, so we have a record here with all the names that we need. Everything that I did right now is hard-coded. So the name is here, the amount. So maybe for the name, we can start out by changing the values and saying like bonus reservation. That's what the description will be. Now the amount of the bonus always has to be the opposite of the sum of the regular bonuses. So if there's 8,000 bonus as a cost, we also need 8,000 bonus as a reservation. Now we already had that calculation right here. The only difference is that we need to reference the earlier step. I'm gonna make it very easy for ourselves. So we go back here, we do it one more time, select the column of the amount, or do it one more time, sum, which makes sure that we get the right amount. And if you copy this part, as you can see in the formula bar, it references the earlier step. It tells us, get the amount of the step that says edit custom 1. Edit custom 1 was the earlier step here, and amount was the column. So if we copy this and go back to the record that we're making, we can change the amount here by that formula part. Now if we click on record, you see there's 1670 here. Now the only thing we need to do is make sure that it's a negative one. So add a minus. That's half of the problem fixed. The next thing we need to fix is the booking period. And the booking period we already had right here. So what we can do is we can write booking period. And now we go to record. We can find that we have description, booking period, and what we need. And the last thing, which is hard-coded, is the number where we book this on. And let's call this account 1420. So here we have our record, and this step then perhaps is our debit. And let's call this one credit for now. The only thing that's left now is for us to combine the rows. And a function that you can use for that is Table.InsertRows. So we can press FX here and write the formula Table.InsertRows. And it will need a table as a table. So the first table that we need is debit. Then it's gonna ask for an offset, which I can do as 0. So it's asking here at which of the rows in the existing table that we reference, at which of the rows do we want to enter the new line? And I'll just tell it to do it at the beginning, we're pressing 0. And then which rows do we want to add? The credit part, which was the record that we just made, we can add as the last part. And by doing that, you can now see that the bonus reservation line in the top here is put as a negative with the right booking period and the different general ledger. And all the other accounts are put in debit here, just like a journal entry needs. And to make sure that it works, I also have another table called bonus table 2. It has a little bit more employees than bonus table 1. And to show you that our solution is working, I could instead say like, okay, instead of taking this one as a source, we could remove this. Or you know what, I'm gonna duplicate this here. And the source of my first tab, I could change it to being bonus table 2. And now if we go to the end of it, you'll see that the journal entry that we tried to make is still working. And basically what you do here, if this is a recurring process, is you automate the way that you calculate your bonuses. Maybe it's in an Excel sheet, for example. And then after that, you generate your journal ledger automatically, which makes it easy to import in CSV, for example. So this solution helped that client up. It showed you a few tricks. It showed you how to create a new row, how to use a record and combine it with the table that's already there, and just separating separate steps. So I hope that was helpful and you learned something. If you did, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.